Welcome to the Awakening Potential Show. This is a space where ordinary softens and the extraordinary is allowed to emerge. I'm Karen Rudolph, your host, and this is a show that's for people who carry a lot, and have learned a lot, and quietly know that there's so much more to, not more to do, but rather more to remember. So here we talk about awakening. It's not a concept, it's more as a lived experience. So through real stories, embodied wisdom, and conversations that meet life exactly where it is. This is where sassy confidence meets classy wisdom and bold badassy brilliance gets to be expressed without apology. So take a breath, let your shoulders drop, and give yourself to be permission to be here fully. So today I'm honored to share the space with someone whose journey reflects the very heart of this work. My guest, Gal Ezra, who shares his content, which is focus, on consciously living and real life transformation through what he's created at a young age. He's been known to build businesses, scale success, and by age 25, he established his first $1 million company. And in 2013, he co-founded and ran what would become four of South Africa's most well-known events and musical festivals in business, seeing over 40,000 people annually. And it's still running today, which is amazing. And I love South Africa. We'll talk about that for sure.
Yeah.
And in 2018, he co-founded and is the CEO of Empower Funding, a property financial company financing millions. And he started with zero experience. I can't wait to hear more about it. But welcome, 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 Gal Ezra, to the
Thank
Awakening
you.
Potential Show.
Thank you. I'm super happy to be here, and what an intro. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, you're very impressive to say the least. I mean, you started
Thank
it.
you.
How old were you when you started your businesses?
About 22, 3, right around that point. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
Mike, I'm always curious, like what led you up to 23 years of age as a young age to really, which is amazing. But what led you
hmm
up to that? Like, what'd you play with as a kid? Or that, and is it related to
Uh-huh.
what inspired you to do what you're doing?
So from the age of 2, I said that I want to work with my father. That was what I always said, which you think about it, a 2-year-old saying, "No, I'm going to work with my father as when I grow up," which he was a businessman, right?
Okay.
I mean, he still is. So I saw him doing business, and I saw his offices, and I saw his work and going to meetings and doing deals, and I said, "That's what I'm here to do." And it was always very clear to me that I'm didn't have the word for it then, but I'll be an entrepreneur. And I aligned everything like that. Everything in my life was designed so that I'd get tools in order to run a business. I never had the idea of learning in order to one day be a doctor or learning in order to one day work at a job or whatever. It was always, I'm going to run a business one day. I need to uh, work with my father. That was like clear, and it never changed. I went to a very, very, very prestigious high school that sends every student to Ivy League universities. And I, the whole time, said, I'm not going to university. It's not on the path to being an entrepreneur. I don't need it for being an entrepreneur. If I was going to be a doctor or an accountant or something where I needed a degree, of course, university. But as an entrepreneur, I don't need university. And the headmistress there said that out of every student she's ever had, they always would push them to, no, you still need to do university. She said Gal Ezra is the only one that I was actually totally understood that it's not his path and was supportive of it. So they
Wow.
never interfered with that. They just helped me to go through the program, never getting me to go take this SATs. I never did that ever, never got me to do anything. It was always, okay, God knows where he's going. So that was always the path. And I did little entrepreneurial things in school. I was selling little things here and there, whatever. But that's not the main thing. The main thing was when was 19 years old, I was planning to go do some small business program, like a 1 year kind of a business college, not a proper university, but a sort of a little business college I found. And it was in Los Angeles. I was living in Florida at the time. And at 19, I was planning on going there, studying, and like that was my plan. I'll go to LA and do that, do some acting on the side because I have a passion. I had a passion at the time and still do a little for acting, and that was my plan. But at 19, my whole life changed. I don't know if you saw that part of the story, and I don't necessarily need to go into the whole story, but I was living in Florida, and at 19, I was totally stuck in South Africa. Okay, so that's how I ended up in South Africa. What happened was we needed to go do a renewal on our visa. I'm not American. I was born in South Africa. So we needed to go do a renewal on the visa. And long story short, my parents, so we flew out of the country, flew out of the US, everything legal, never overstayed, of course, everything was clean. Time to go renew. My parents get the approval, no problem. As for me, not approved, denied.
Oh, wow.
Well, now, why? And what's the logic, right? Because my parents were going to fly back to the US without me. I can't go back home. I was
Right.
living there for 12 years, can't go back home. So the reasoning was because they said, look, you're no longer under your parents' umbrella, given the fact that you're now an adult, you're 19, and
Uh,
we don't see uh, why, like, you're not coming in as a student. We don't see the reason to give you access. So we did that application in one country. My dad said, look, you have a South African passport. Go to South Africa, use your South African passport, try again from South Africa, and let's see. So I fly down to South Africa, 10 days, super nervous. I go, denied again. And that's it. Now I'm stuck. I wouldn't go home for 3.5 years. In that time, it was a disaster. It ended up being the biggest blessing in disguise. Within that 3.5 year process, by the time I went home, I had a business started, a whole life, many, many friends, and all was on the trajectory up. I didn't even want to move back to the US. I was like, never, Cape Town's amazing. I'll stay here. Thank you very
well,
much.
oh, I love Cape Town. I love
Yeah,
Cape Town.
it's the best.
Yeah, I want to ask you, I mean, from your experience, I mean, obviously, it looks in the moment like, oh my God, the sky is falling, the sky is falling.
Yeah.
For your experience, right? Has it had, I could only speak from my own experiences, obviously, but I'm curious if this was what you experienced as well. The sky is falling, the sky is falling. Oh my God, life is like, but then it's like once I take that deep breath and pause for the moment and what can I do with this? It's a blessing in disguise because it's really stretching us to really step up and be more than we know ourselves to be and then opportunities show up, people show up, new experiences shows up, and it really stretches us to get out of our comfort zone. Was that pretty much your experience? And if I had to experience it, Cape Town would be where I would want to experience. I love Cape
Yeah, so
Town.
look, by the way, Cape Town is so beautiful, but at that time I didn't see any of that beauty. To
Yeah,
me, I was stuck in jail, and as far as I was concerned, I didn't see anything nice about the city. It's the best city in the world. I couldn't see it at that time, right? That was like the condition. But what I realized was actually this two things. Number one, this idea that actually nothing is important. That's the first thing that I
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
have to get this concept
Mhm.
that nothing, absolutely nothing is important. And how do we know? Because you could have a migraine that's killing you, debilitating headache, and if you
Mhm.
get shot in the leg, your migraine is gone. You could
Absolutely.
have the biggest upset with your spouse, and God forbid someone you love ends up in the hospital. The upset is not important. So,
Exactly.
what made it important up until that moment? Just what you say is important. In
Mhm.
reality, there is nothing that is actually important. And when you realize that the only thing that's important is what you give importance to, then you realize that the principle that you only have what you put there. You only
Exactly.
have what you put there. So I wasn't putting an amazing Cape Town there. I was putting a dark, drab Cape Town. So in any situation and with anyone you meet and with anything that you do and with any activity that you engage in, the only thing you have is what you put there. You and I can meet the same person. I can put that person there as the devil, and you can put them there as the angel. Same person.
Exactly.
So you have only what you put there. And I had to learn that at a certain point, and I had to realize that two
Perception.
things. The nothing is important, and number two, the past doesn't exist. So let's create.
I love that. I love that. I'm so aligned. Yeah, because we all have a different point of view and we all have perceptions, right? And what we're perceiving and making that story mean in the moment is what's going to turn out to become our reality if we stay in that cycle, right? So,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
obviously you looked at it differently at one point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
exactly. I always say that my viewpoint is irrelevant
exactly.
because if I have a viewpoint and I say I'm right,
Hmm.
what do? I say that the other 8 billion viewpoints minimum are wrong.
Yeah,
And on top of that, there is a thing that I know for sure. I have two options, to be right or to be successful. You
exactly.
cannot be right and successful, which sounds strange. You cannot be right and successful. If I have to be right and my viewpoint is the only way, at that moment, I destroy my chances of success because what I say is that out of everyone, my little viewpoint is so true. Most people are locked on their viewpoint on many subjects. Go to
Exactly.
a Republican and get the Republican to look at the viewpoint of a Democrat, or go to a
Exactly.
Democrat and get them to see the viewpoint of the Republican and watch what happens. Locked on their viewpoint. Go to a parent and tell the parent a different viewpoint on raising children and watch what happens. Go to a friend and tell them a different viewpoint on someone that the friend is in an upset with, and they won't be able to see that person in any other light. So when you lock on a viewpoint, you at that moment sign yourself up to relinquish your success. You give up your success at that moment in any subject. You must be able to see more and more and more and more viewpoints. I think of it like a pie, like a,
Yes.
a pie chart, and you have your little line that's your viewpoint, and the rest of the pie chart is everyone else's. How do you start to broaden the viewpoints that you can understand? You don't have to accept them, you don't have to agree with them, but can I understand them? That's what I'm
Exactly.
looking for. I'm Jewish. Can I understand Hitler's viewpoint? I can. Do I agree? No, I think it was horrible. But I can understand. And only when I can understand can I help someone. Can I do something about it? If I don't understand, I create distance between me and that thing. And how can
Exactly.
I ever do anything? Try to drive without with putting distance between you and the steering wheel. Impossible. You
Love it.
must have that connection. And the way to do that is by seeing more viewpoints.
Yeah, I love that. Great
Hmm.
point. Great point.
Hmm.
Absolutely. So you've now you're stuck in South Africa. You create this incredible space there for 3 years. What was your biggest takeaway from that experience? And how did you get back to the States at that point?
Yeah. So my biggest takeaway from that experience was actually that I don't need experience. And
Okay.
I'll tell you what I mean. I know that everybody really values their experience, and I
Mhm.
can understand why you use it to do other things, right?
Mhm.
I look at my experience, and based on my experience, I can make a decision. But experience, if you look at experience, experience is just a record of limitations.
Mhm. Good point.
I'll have the listeners just ponder on that. Experience is a record of your limitations. Experience told us for hundreds of years that we cannot fly. There's no way that man would fly. One day somebody came and said, we should build an airplane. Experience told us for thousands of years that you could never make a phone call across the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
Experience told it. Experience said that the 4-minute mile was impossible. There's many times that experience is actually just a limitation. And at one point, someone says, let's drop the experience. Here's what I want to create. So most people, when they have a disastrous situation like me, have a situation where they say, well, what's my experience? My experience would have led me down a path that wouldn't have been so pretty. And instead it was, you know what? What do I want to let's just drop the little sack of experience I carry with me, like a little backpack I carry with me with all my books called my experience that I can sometimes page through to decide what I'm going to do next. And let
Right.
me look at the situation as to what it is right now. Let me observe right now, aside from anything. And the only way that anyone's ever been successful is when they do that. And how do you see that somebody's successful? Because they don't use their experience. Look at an amazing guitar player. They don't check experience for every time they play guitar. They just play. They don't use their experience. They just create.
Hmm.
So at a certain point, you just know. At the beginning, as you're learning, you have to use your experience. And let me check. Let me check. I've seen this before. I need to double check if this aligns with my experience. One day you know, and then you just do it. You just create. So
So,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, the knowing, right,
Yeah,
for me is more of the intuition, the spirituality aspect of it. So, is
mhm.
there then a place for spirituality in business and in creativity?
100%.
Yeah, how so?
100. So what I do, I am a spiritual businessman. What I teach, what I help others with is a spiritual approach to life. And
Mm,
what my company does, and not that I'm here to plug it, but what my company does is we guarantee our results. Everything
mm,
we do, we guarantee. Not just guarantee and say, if you don't like it, I'll give you your money back. No, I say, if you don't get what you claim that you want out of it, not what I say you'll get, what you expect, I won't just give you your money back. I'll give you your money back plus 10% for wasting your time. So if you spend $10,000 with me and you didn't love it, what you'll get back in your account is $11,000.
right.
So everything I do is guaranteed. The only way I can guarantee it is if you learn about spirituality in parallel. If I only teach you about business, which we have a whole business program, we teach marketing, sales, how to build $1 million business. Great. I can't guarantee your results like that. But if you do that while learning about spirituality, I'll guarantee your results any day. So we can talk a lot about my views and what we teach on spirituality. It's different, but it's very effective. And you're spot on that knowing is the very quality of the spirit.
Yes. Yeah,
Spot on.
absolutely. Thank you for that. I'm
Yeah.
very spiritual and it so aligns with pretty much everything I do. So I was
Yeah.
curious because I heard
Yeah.
you talking about the knowing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely.
so why do you think people don't achieve their purpose?
Because a purpose is something that you do. Okay. A purpose is a doing.
Yeah,
And what happens is people look for their purpose, look for their purpose, look for their purpose, and they never find it.
yeah,
Why do people never find their purpose despite reading books on finding your purpose and trying to find their purpose and writing down their purpose? The problem is that they're missing something much more important. What they're missing is what is the end result they want to achieve. If you establish what is your end result, what you will have at the end, as soon as you do that and you figure that out, purpose is, by the way, it's impossible to find your purpose. It's impossible. That's why people can't. Everybody tries to find their purpose and they can't. Impossible. So, what happens? A purpose is not something that you find. A purpose is something that simply is known to you and springs into view obviously. How does it spring into view and you just know it? Because when you establish the end result, you then obviously know what to do. And that's your purpose. Your purpose is what you need to do. And your
yeah.
goal is then who you are.
Mhm.
So you have a goal of who you are. Your purpose is what you do. And the end
Mhm.
result is what you have. And most people do not establish their end result clearly. And I know it sounds crazy because everyone I speak to, and I've spoken to thousands of people about this minimum, and they all say, no, I know my end result. And I say, no, 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 you don't. And they say, I know, I do. And I say, great, what's your end result? And they will automatically, uncontrollably tell me what they do. They won't tell me their end result. They'll tell me what they do. Doing is not your end result.
Exactly.
And so if I'm in the middle of a forest and I don't know how to get out, I will look for what do I need to do? What do I need to do? What's my purpose? Is my purpose right now to go across a river? Or is my purpose right now to climb a tree? Or is my purpose to chop down a tree? Or is it to go over the mountain? I don't know what's my purpose. But if all of a sudden I establish a landmark, the mountain,
Mhm.
clearly, because maybe there's many, many, many mountains, but what's the peak I'm going to? If I can establish that peak very clearly, and I know that's the end result, now I know my purpose. I'm going that my purpose is to go towards that. If there's a river, then that purpose is not to go over the river. If it's to camp overnight, my purpose is to camp overnight. And I then fall in love with what I need to do in order to achieve that purpose. Sorry, to
Love
achieve that
that.
purpose, which ultimately is to achieve the end result. So
Right.
why don't people find their purpose? They have zero clue what is their end result. Zero. And when I say zero, and if it rubs anyone listening the wrong way, it's not what you want to hear, but it's what you need to hear. You have zero idea of what is your end result, and that's why you struggle to find your purpose.
And thus also struggling to get the end result in income as well. Correct?
100%. You cannot get the end result in income if you don't know what's the end result.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So what would be the
Yeah.
factors in determining income? Because people want to manifest. I want to manifest $1 million. I mean, you did that by what, 19? You know?
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah. I
what what were some of the factors that
Yeah, so it's not by manifesting, okay?
yeah,
Everybody tries to manifest, and with all due respect to that practice, the percentage of people that manifest versus the results
yeah,
is not so aligned, okay? 0.0000001% of people will tell you the stories of their beautiful results due to manifesting, and everyone else manifests all day long with no results. So it means that something's missing,
right.
okay? Income is determined by one thing and one thing alone. What do you think it is? And just give a few things that maybe listeners might say. One thing that determines your income. One. What would your listeners reply? Like speak on their behalf.
I'm gonna say consistency, showing
Okay,
up.
but what if I consistently do bad investments? What if I show up to networking events consistently and I'm an pester? What if I am consistently at the gym getting injured consistently? Will I
Yeah.
have the income?
No, absolutely not. Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else would a listener say? And we'll look at it. I'm going to have a look at it to see.
Yeah.
And then it will this thought process, if we play the game for them, will be interesting, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What else? Consistency. Some of the factors would be
No, for to
knowing
bring about income.
to
What's
bring
the
about
one factor to bring about income? What
uh,
determines income?
desire.
Okay, but what if my desire, let's look at it. What if my desire is to watch Netflix all day? I have a big desire to do that.
Okay, let me go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Uh, my relationship with the income,
Okay, so what does that mean, your relationship with the income?
my thoughts about money, for starters, like my
Okay.
relationship with money, right?
Okay, so let's say you have
I
a
believe,
bad relationship. Let's say you have a bad relationship with money. Let's say you
right,
have a good relationship with money and you really think great thoughts. Every morning you think happy thoughts. Will it
right.
bring the income?
No, because I need to take the action steps in order to
Okay, so
create
good.
that.
So there are some action steps. But what if the action steps, you do many actions that bring no results? You've seen it before. Somebody who's very good at being busy,
Right,
doing
right.
nothing.
Well, busy, not being busy, that's for starters, right?
Uh,
It's not the doing, it's the being that's going to
okay,
determine.
but part of it, it could be a part of it. You have to be something. Yes, I need to be a let's say a businessman. That's part of it.
Okay.
You'll find I'll give it to you and have a look, and I'm gonna warn you that this word at the beginning will you'll either have a bad connotation to it, or you'll think, no, it's not just that, it's too simple. And when I say you, I don't mean necessarily you,
Yeah,
Karen.
yeah,
I'm talking
yeah.
to the listeners.
I'm not right.
Say again?
I said, no, I'm not personalizing it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm taking
exactly.
it in the broader sense. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So the thing that determines income, the one thing is the word control.
Mm. Speak more.
Now,
Yeah.
yes, let's understand how do we define the word control? Because control has a bad connotation for some people. They think, oh, you need to, I don't know, have a controlling boss, meaning I don't know, they whip me if I'm bad and they are too much on me and they don't let me do my actions. It's controlling, it's bad. Some people have the connotation of control that I need to actually give up control. I need to surrender. I shouldn't have control. Let's have a look. If you surrender control, let's say I'm driving and I
Right.
surrender my control, what will
Mhm.
happen?
You'll get an accident 9 times out of 10,
Nine
probably.
times, 10 out of 10. If I just
And
drop, I don't need to have control on the wheel. I'll surrender.
hopefully the
But
brakes
many,
work.
yeah, exactly. But then at least you'll have some control if with the brake. But there's this idea of let me surrender. Let's say that I surrender or I drop control on my finances. So
Right.
whatever happens, happens.
Mhm.
I'll go bankrupt. I'll spend too much or earn too little. So you must have control, but let's understand what is control, and it's a good thing. Control is, again, too simple, but you need to know that simple means powerful.
Mhm.
Simple means workable. You
Right.
need to know that when things get complicated, it might sound nice and fancy, but complicated means unworkable. It doesn't work so well. I just want something that works. Give me something simple, workable. If you ever get instructions that are very complicated, it's not so workable. You struggle to execute on them. But simple will bring about a workable solution. So this is simple, but powerful. Control is simply your ability to start, change, and stop.
I call that, we have a lot in common. I call it the butterfly technique. I call it
Oh,
stop,
tell
change,
me.
shift, right? So coming from the pause, taking a moment to pause, right? And stop and seeing what's there in front of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
uh the butterfly going into, munching, the little caterpillar munching along, and all of a sudden it stops and it shifts, and then it emulsifies, for lack of better, in the cocoon to create something different, to
Mm-hmm.
now new energy when it's born.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah. So
wow.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, that can be a process of
Okay.
developing, and it can be many that what's happening with the butterfly is different cycles that
Mhm.
happen. Okay, and what is a cycle? A cycle, when I say the word cycle, I mean this an instant where there was a start, change, and a stop. This
Yeah.
concept of start, change, stop, by the way, goes back in very, very ancient texts. They talk about start, change, and stop. But you'll see
Mm.
that control is just your ability to start, change, and stop. If I can start the car, change the car, and stop the car, I can control the car. But if I only start it and I don't really know what I'm doing changing it, I run into a wall. Like you'll see I don't know, a 5-year-old knows how to start the car, and then they change the car and it runs into a wall. They didn't know how to drive, but they knew how to start it. If you can start a sales cycle, change the prospect, and stop, get a close, get payment, you've controlled the sales cycle. But if you don't know what to do somewhere along the start, the change, or the stop, you lose control, which, by the way, you lose income. Why do we like control? Because control equals income. If I can start a thought, change a thought, and stop a thought, I control my mind. But most people have thoughts that they cannot stop or change. They have
Interesting.
these things that bother them nonstop. They don't know how to stop it.
Yeah.
So this thing of start, change, and stop is called a cycle of action. And you'll see that many people have many things that they started, but didn't actually change and stop, or they started and changed,
Mhm.
but they don't actually get to an end result. And because of that, what happens is, without you realizing it, your attention is taken up on these things that you've started but haven't completed. And you have attention that's stuck on those. And those things that are holding your attention are much like a computer. Okay, when you open a computer and you open one program and another program and another program and another program, what happens with the computer? It
It
slows down.
crashes. Yeah.
Eventually crashes. You're right. It slows down. That slowdown in a human being is called stress.
Yes.
Stress is just many, many open cycles. On a computer, Eventually, as you said, spot on, it crashes. On a human being, that crash is called a panic attack or a burnout.
Yes.
It's just a situation. All that that is you have open cycles, things that you started but didn't complete. And it can be from the silliest, smallest things to big things. It can be your text messages that you didn't answer, the person that you said you would call back and you didn't, the emails that you haven't replied to, the client that you needed to send a quote to, the drawer at home that's messy, the back of your car that you've been meaning to clean out, the books that you've been meaning to donate to the library, the different things that you have open, 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 many things open, 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 open. And
Right.
without you realizing it, your potential gets sucked up into attention on this thing, keeping it going, making sure to think, even if you think, nah, I'm not even thinking about it, you have attention stuck on it, you just don't realize. And when that happens, your control drops and drops and drops, and down goes your income, down goes your income, down goes your income. But if you can actually start, change, and stop something, for example, we do finance deals, right? It's very tempting to start the deal and pay it out and get to a stop. But if you don't do the start and the change and the stop correctly, you don't control every aspect of the deal. Look under every rock, check every piece of the deal, really vet it, really look at what needs to be looked at, which is a proper start and change, and only get to a stop when it's actually really a good deal, really good to stop. If I don't do that, I don't have control on the deal. And if I don't have control on the deal, there's a very high risk and I will lose my investment. Most people lose their investments. Most people lose their investments because they don't have control. So down goes their income. Most people don't know how to control a sale. Down goes their income. Most people don't know how to control their personal finances. Down goes their income. Most people don't know how to control their own job. All they do is complain, or they have problems, or difficulties, or not enough knowledge, or not enough training. Down goes their income. They don't build themselves in the company. They lose themselves in the company. So the determining factor for income is control. Without control,
I love
you
that.
you let go of the wheel on the highway.
Yeah. So what's the secret formula then for handling stress, let's say, right? Because you're going to get stress in business, stress along the way to attempt to create income.
Yeah.
And not only that, a lot of people get depressed. So what would be that secret formula?
Yeah. So first of all, depression is actually usually due to lack of production. Okay.
Mhm.
Happiness, the definition of the word happiness, and by the way, you'll see that everything that I do, I define. If you notice that, I've defined many words along the way. I
Yeah.
never use a word I can't define. And I have it very clear that if somebody can't define the word, it means they don't know it. So everything we do is defined. Everything. We are very particular because to be successful, you must be accurate. If you're not accurate, you'll wonder why in 3 years' time you're in insane catastrophe in your business and debt because you weren't accurate at the beginning. If you're
Mhm.
inaccurate when you, I don't know, shoot an arrow and I miss by a millimeter, I
Yeah.
missed. When it
Yeah.
gets to the target, you missed. So
Yeah.
everything I do is precise and accurate. So back to what I was saying, the definition of the word happiness. If you look, most people, I ask them, what's happiness? And they say, oh, I don't know. It's to be content. Okay, that doesn't tell me anything. What's happiness? Oh, it's how I feel at the end of the day. Yeah, great. But what determines the happiness? What is the defining factor for happiness? And you'll see that happiness is only the overcoming of obstacles that you know about. When you
Mm.
have obstacles that you know about, not random obstacles that come up, but obstacles that you know of and you overcome them, you're happy. So bad example, rough example, but if I'm in a war and I'm a soldier and there's an enemy soldier and I get the enemy soldier, I shoot the enemy soldier, well, I'm happy because I've overcome this obstacle. But if there's a sniper that I don't know about that gets me, I'm not so happy because I didn't know about that obstacle. So I
Right.
want to overcome the obstacles in my life. Happiness is climbing the mountain, overcoming the obstacle. It's not getting to the top. Because when you get to the top, when you end off at the top of the mountain, you enjoy it for 5 minutes and cool. So now what? I'm stuck on the top of the mountain. So now what? So it's actually the overcoming. Happiness, in other words, is overcoming obstacles, which in other words means being productive. When you are productive based on the potential that you see for yourself, a lot of times
Mhm.
people end their day and they go, I could be doing so much more in my day. I know I have a potential. I know it. But
Mhm.
my days somehow I'm not making forward progress. I'm not overcoming those obstacles. That's the happiness killer because
Mhm.
you know the potential, but the actions, the production is very low in comparison. So,
Mhm.
side note, mostly depression is due to not having the tools for how to be productive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the question of how do you handle those open cycles, there is a very specific rehab sequence, I call it, for finding. There's a way to find these open cycles that you have. Many of them are hidden from you because it's over many years. You find them and you actually totally reclaim those units of attention that were being held up.
Right.
And all of a sudden, it's like a computer that has all the power, but was very slow due to programs. All of a sudden, whoa, I'm back. I can think. I can produce again. I can create again. And it's a must. It's a must to do that, or you will always be a slow computer.
Right. So, yeah, absolutely brilliant, brilliant. You know, you and I were attempting to get together for some time now. I'm so
Yeah,
grateful that we actually got a chance
m-
because
me
this
too.
is gold here, and I
Thank you.
really, and I just want to take a moment to let the listening audience real know that all of Gal's information will be in the show notes. So if you want to reach out as well, we'll talk more about that as we go. But
Sure.
perfect stuff, perfect stuff. So
Thank you.
how do you create a harmony within your life and work and relationships and such?
Yeah. So first of all, you need to understand that life is has one common denominator.
Hmm.
All life has one common denominator, whether it's the lions in the safaris of Africa, or it's a human being, or if it's a blade of grass. There's one common denominator, and that's to survive. That's the
Yeah,
common denominator of life, is to survive.
yeah.
And survive basically means to continue over time. And to
Mhm.
continue over time, ideally well, and in an expanding way. But if I take a magnifying glass to this concept of surviving, and I
Mhm.
really look at what does survive mean, I'll find that survive actually breaks down into 8 parts.
Mhm.
And those 8 parts are actually the ways that we strive to survive. The so the first, to answer your question, how do you kind of have a life of harmony? First of all, you've got to understand what those 8 parts are. Because how are you going to do that without knowing it? And by the way, you need to also know that you will only be as strong as the weakest part of those 8. So if one of those parts is down at 20% out of 100, the rest will fall to 20% out of 100. You'll only be as strong as the weakest part. The weakest part's at 20%, and that's going to be your whole survival is going to be at 20% because that part is holding you down.
Right.
So let's have a look at what those 8 parts are. Okay. The first part is you want to survive as yourself, just you as an individual. And that's really brushing your teeth, getting dressed, going to the gym, doing your hobbies, things that are you, individual, your individualism,
Right.
and everything that has to do with taking care of you as an individual. The next way that you want to survive is actually through family and sex as a means of procreation. You need to create, you need to build a family. It can be your family as in husband and wife and kids, but also your parents and your extended family. And it's all another way that you aim to survive.
Exactly.
The next way that you aim to survive is through groups, different groups that you're a part of. And the group can be a group, by the way, is just defined as a set of people with a common purpose. So I can have a temporary group. I can be on an airplane from Cape Town to New York City, and that's a group. We all have a common purpose. Get to New York, we're now a group on this airplane. We have a common purpose. Or it can be a long term group, like my staff, in my me and my business and my staff and so forth. It can be a soccer team that I'm a part of. It can be a choir that I'm a part of. It can be a group of people that all live in Cape Town. There's different groups. It can be a run club. You want to survive through groups. It's another aim of expanding your survival. The
Mhm.
next way that we want to survive is through mankind, mankind as a whole. So where there can be a group which is maybe a certain race or nationality, part of striving to survive is through mankind. No nationality, all of us as a whole. I always say if there's an alien attack, everyone will stop the wars and we'll stop the racism and we'll all come together and say, okay, what do we do about this alien attack? Mankind, there is this urge to survive for everyone.
Yes.
Above that, there's a way, you strive to survive as life forms, the different life forms that are a part of our life, the plants and animals, the life form. Without trees, we would instantly die. Without your pet, you would maybe, I don't know, be less happy. We want to survive through the life forms around us, and
Right.
we need it as part of our survival.
Yes.
The next way that we strive to survive is through the physical universe, literally the space and energy and matter that's around us. I need the walls around me. I need my car. I need my phone. I need the mic. I need the physical world to survive. The
Exactly.
seventh is through spirituality and really understanding that. And the eighth is through God or a supreme being, and whatever that means for each person, each religion, and so forth. That higher power, this idea of infinity. And across those eight is how you survive well. And you need to, if you want to have harmony on all of those, you need to understand those. And
Mhm.
you need to actually go much deeper than what I'm telling you in a 5 minute section out of a, 45
Right.
minute podcast or whatever, right?
Right.
I could do a 5 day, 12 hours a day introductory seminar on the subject I just gave you.
Yeah, I
So
love
there's a
that.
lot to understand within it, and why do some of those sections of survival get damaged, and what is the effect on one or the other. For example, if your business is suffering, which is a group, the third part, likely there's something with relationships, something that came before that's
Mhm.
affecting what's happening, something with the family section of survival that's affecting your business. The problem is always before. That's a general principle that everyone can know. In
Yeah.
aside from what I just explained about survival, whatever you think is your problem, the problem is always before and usually hidden. You see a car accident, the problem is not the accident. The problem is before. The guy was drinking. You have a headache, and you can show me I have a headache. You can prove to me you have a headache. It's very clear. This is my problem. It's not. The problem is before. You were dehydrated for 2 days straight.
Mhm.
So the problem is always before and hidden. And so with these parts of life, there's a lot to understand on how they interact. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Love that.
that's the idea. Yeah.
So, how do you improve your mental condition and mindset in order to build yourself up for those eight things?
By learning. You must learn. There's a lot of knowledge to be gotten. That's what we do, is we give the knowledge. Like what I've
Yeah.
given you today, you see that there's these ways of operating this knowledge that I know of how things work, that by using it, I have the interesting result of control on the subject, and therefore I get income. So you need to know that if you want income, which we spoke about, you
Mhm.
need control, which we spoke about. But do you know what gives you control? Knowledge. Try to drive
Exactly.
a car without having knowledge. Good luck. You need to have knowledge. Try to run a business without having the knowledge. Many people think that just because they started a business, they are a businessman. No, you're not. Just because you bought a car doesn't mean you know how to drive. Just because
Right.
you open a hair salon doesn't mean you know how to work with hair. Doesn't mean anything. It just means you open a hair salon. So people think that, oh, because I get into a relationship, I know how to have a relationship with my spouse. You don't. That's why the divorce rates are so high. People think just because I started a business, I know how to run a business. You don't. That's why most businesses fail. You have to learn. If you want income, you need control. If you want control, you got to learn. So if you want to control your mind, first of all, let's understand what is the mind and how is the mind different to the spirit. And how is
Mm.
the spirit different to the mind and the body? And who's the boss? And what does the brain have to do with it? And how important is the brain?
Exactly.
So there's a lot to learn. You need knowledge. That's the only way you'll gain control.
Yeah, love that. I love that. 'Cause I could talk about that for like
Mm, me too. Yeah.
we're gonna definitely have, if you're open to it, have you back and just like focus in on like one little aspect of it because it fascinates the heck out of me.
With pleasure.
Especially,
With great pleasure. We should.
I,
We should
I
do
would
it.
love that. I would love that.
Yeah.
You mentioned relationships and
Hmm.
relationships coming before a lot of things, right? Which
Yeah.
goes way back. So in order for people to have a great love life, right, what would destroy that and what would keep it solid? Because
Hmm.
I'm a product of divorce. I didn't know what I
Hmm.
didn't know. And I see the impact on my children,
Yeah.
right? And we
100%.
don't know until after the fact, right? But I'm curious
Hmm.
what your thoughts were with that aspect of, because relationship is
Yeah.
really the foundation as well with everything.
Absolutely. These same principles that teach you will apply to every kind of relationship, not just romantic. Business
Exactly.
relationships, relationships with investors, relationships with friends, it's all the same. What I say is that if I teach you something that isn't true for every part of life, you
Mhm.
need to know that that thing I said is true is not.
Yeah,
It has to be true. For example, gravity is true in Cape Town, it's true in Florida, and it's true in Australia. Gravity works. If I
right.
teach you something that isn't true in business, in health, in relationships, in life, in every part, you need to know it's not true. So you're spot on that it's every relationship. And here's the thing. Relationships are actually defined as is two people that come together that maximize one another's potential. And the determining factor for relationships is the cleanliness of the connection. So there's
Mhm.
something that anybody can look up that's called gauge blocks. Okay, gauge, Gauge, a gauge block. Okay, and what is a gauge block? A gauge block is a small piece of metal and what they do is they put many of them together and they use it in machinery to measure. Okay, they use it for measuring in machinery. It's not important what it's used for, but you can look up gauge blocks. Just type it in on YouTube. What's interesting about gauge blocks is that they stick together with no magnetic force and with no glue. How they stick together is they have these two surfaces. They have a few surfaces, but because it's a block, but they take the two surfaces and it looks like a very, very, very polished stainless steel. Okay, that's just so you can imagine. Think of very, very polished stainless steel with no magnetic force. You have to realize this. They take the gauge blocks, they put them together, and they stick like they're glued. They stick like magnets, and there's nothing there that holds it together. No, again, no magnetic force, no glue. They just stick together because the both sides are so clean that it creates a bond.
Interesting.
That's how relationships work as well. And what destroys relationships is dirt gets in between two
Mm,
people.
mm,
There's a dirt that gets formed, and that dirt ruins the connection. And without a way to find that dirt, because the dirt is hidden often. Some things ooh, I had some dirt. I wasn't so honest with my partner, or you have some obvious things, but there's other dirt that you don't see
yeah.
because you justify it. So you
Mm,
have some other dirt, and that dirt creates the gauge box to never stick. They will never stick. And as time goes, you fall apart. And what happens is it starts like this. Two people love each other. Great. Now, what happens is, let's say it's me and you and we're married. I do something against you and I feel bad. I feel bad because I did something against you.
right.
Okay. And at the beginning, we were in a great relationship, all good. We're dating. It's so fun. One day I do something I can't tell you. I did something against you and I feel bad. Now, what I do is I can't feel this bad. So I have to find something wrong with you. So I find something wrong with you. Look how wrong you are. Now I feel so good. I feel so good. This is great
Yeah.
because look how wrong you are. And now I do another thing against you. I feel bad. So I have to find something wrong with you again. So I find something wrong with you. Look how bad you are. And
Hmm.
I feel good again because I found something wrong with you. And this cycle continues with both sides. And as time goes, more and more dirt gets accumulated Everyone gets more and more critical of one another. Everyone blames, 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 and the income goes away and down goes because income, again, is not just money. Yes, income
Right.
can be appreciation from your staff, kisses from your kids, hugs and love from your husband. It can be anything positive that you want. So down goes the income. And that's what happens in relationships. And there's
Mm.
a way to define what all these parts are and then discover that dirt and clean it up in any
Okay.
relationship. And that's what happens.
Uh, which, when you clean it up, right, it then well, I use the word manifest. It then manifests in business and in your relationships outside of the nucleus relationships as well.
Sorry, say again?
So when you clean it up here, it's going to benefit everything else.
100%.
Yeah.
Because and then I'll tell you why, how that works. When I do something that I can't tell you, because I'm so good, man is basically good, yes? Man is basically good. How do we know? Because when we do something bad, you don't go to the newspaper and say, hey, I did something bad. I want everybody to know I'm fulfilling my purpose of being bad.
Yeah.
When you do something bad, you hide it. You say, that was bad. I don't want anybody to know. When you do something good, because you're good, you want people to know. So when you're bad, you do something bad, you hide it. And you put up a wall so that nobody sees what you've done because I'm hiding. Nobody can see what I've done. And I do
Right.
another thing bad, another thing. And there's everybody, like, nobody should feel pointed out. Me, you, everyone, we do bad things. And we put up walls so that nobody sees, nobody sees and wonderful. I'm protected. So nobody sees my personal world, right? I have all the barriers and the walls. The problem is that when you have walls in front of you, yes, nobody can see in, but guess what? I cannot see out. I can't see. I'm behind walls. And when you can't see, you could have opportunities in front of you, amazing people in front of you, huge potential to do great things. But what you see is nothing or a distorted picture through all the walls. You see something, but it's distorted or it comes too late. By the time you realize it's there, it's long gone. So that's why it affects not just the relationship. These walls start to affect everything because you're walking around blinded. You don't really see. And so when you start to clean those walls, miracles start to flow in, literally. And there's a way to do that. There's a whole methodology around how to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always a
Yeah,
methodology.
yeah, yeah.
This is, I would like to take a pause moment, and you have a gift for the listening audience. Do you know? You want to talk
Yes, I
about
do. Yeah,
that?
absolutely. So what I'm going to offer anybody listening, and I would love for them to take me up on this, is I have a program I run called Success Engineering. Okay. And what I do with the Success Engineering program is I, first of all, do a series of tests. Okay. Because I'm like, I say that if you go to a doctor and they don't test you first,
Mhm.
it's malpractice. Okay. Like, imagine you went to the doctor and they're saying, I guess you'll need this medicine, or I guess your arm is broken. I don't know. I guess you need your wisdom teeth taken out. I'm not going to do an x ray. I'm guessing. It's crazy. Yes. Many people go to get coaching in their business or in their life, and they know there's no tests. How do you test for it? Well, we have very comprehensive testing. It's like an x-ray on the business and on your personal life, on all 8 of these parts.
Mhm.
And that's the first thing I do. And when I find that, I can actually tell you this is the issue that's hidden from you. This is the problem that came before,
Yeah.
hidden from you. So what I will do for anybody that's listening, this is something that to do the testing is usually $1,000 to get all the tests with a consultation thereafter, showing you what's the results and pinpointing the exact problem that you have. So literally, I actually haven't given this offer, by the way, and I do many podcasts on any podcast. You can check in. I have never given this offer. So this will really be special for you. And I'll know that it's something that came from your episodes. So it's just somebody needs to tell me, look, I came from, you know,
Awakening
Karen, or
potential.
I came from,
Yeah.
yeah, I came from Karen or Awakening Potential, and just whatever I'll know what it is. if it's more than like 6 months after the upload date, though, share the link, guys, just so that I remember because I do many things. Just share the link of where I said this offer because I will have forgotten that I gave you such a good offer. Write to me on Instagram. Just DM me. I always personally reply, and I will give you those tests for free with a consultation, either from me, likely from one of my coaches, but you'll get occasionally I handpick some and I'll do it myself. And so you might just get me to do it with you. And I will get you the answers on your personal hidden reason that's actually holding you back. And by the way, Karen, you should do it yourself too. I'm happy to give that to you as well. You should do it
Yeah.
100%. Of
So appreciate, yeah.
course.
And of course, the links will be in the all of Gal's contact information will be in the show notes. So please take
Yeah.
advantage of it. Let him know that the Awakening Potential, use that, and this way he will know exactly who he's speaking to from where.
Yes.
And what a
Yeah.
generous offer. Oh my God, I'm so grateful for that. And yeah, I am going
Absolutely.
to take up on that because, for me, all those hidden things that, even though I also coach, I don't know what I don't know because I don't see myself as readily as somebody else will. So
Of
absolutely.
course.
I'm gonna
Yeah. Coaches need coaches. Coaches
I
need
have, yeah,
coaches.
absolutely. I
Mhm.
absolutely. I've had coaches for years, and
Mhm.
it doesn't mean that I can't look elsewhere because, the different perspectives
Mhm.
create bigger results. So I am a firm
Yeah.
believer in that. Before we part, and I can talk all day with you. This has just been
Likewise.
fascinating. I love this.
Thank you.
So I'm definitely going to invite you back. But I'm
Thank
curious
you.
from you. I mean, I see what your superpower is. What do you think your superpower is? Just off the top, what was the gut first?
Yeah.
What's your gift?
To actually communicate and to really understand what communication is very different to talking.
Yes.
And one of the keys, by the way, with communication, and this is something that people miss. People think communication is I go up and I talk to you. Okay. But I actually think that there's a step before that. And it's actually the first thing before I start communicating is I need to be aware of the person in front of me's viewpoint. So first I need to really understand this person's viewpoint without saying anything to them.
Right.
Before the communication happens, I need to be aware of what's that person's viewpoint, and then I can move communication along that line. I almost think of it as I cast a fishing line, I hook it.
Love it.
Without no words have been said, I hook it. Now I can see what's going on with that person. And now on the fishing line, I can send message along the wire, right? Along the copper wire that sends the signal or whatever. You can think of it like that. That's how I look at it. And most people just go and talk, or they don't bother to see what's their person's viewpoint. So people will say things that they didn't read the room. They didn't read the person. They missed this thing of first cast the line, hook it, make sure you see what's going on with the person, then you can transmit. And there's a lot to learn. Communication has 27 parts. People don't know this.
No,
27 parts. There's a lot to learn. You'll see everything that we teach is detailed and different. And I think that my power is actually in the ability to communicate freely with anyone on anything.
I love that. I still love that. You're
Thank you.
amazing. You're a superstar.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful
Thank you
that you
very
took
much.
your time and energy to be here. I always end the show. I mean, you've really a lot of truth bombs, a lot of I call them pearls of wisdom. You've
I love that.
given a lot of pearls here. What
Yeah.
what would be the one pearl that you want to leave the listening audience with that we didn't talk about?
Yeah. The definition of the word success. Success is defined as the sum of all validated improvements. So sum, meaning I've added up, validated, meaning I say well done, I give it value. I say well done. Improvement, something that got better, that you did that you wanted to do or that you didn't do, which you didn't want to do. Okay,
Mhm.
something that was an improvement. And success is actually defined as the sum of all validated improvements. So how it works is You do something small and you say, yes, that was good. 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 Wow, yes, I did it and I achieved it. And the guy called me back and I closed a deal, a small deal, and I did another small deal. And this person was showed interest and this person, and you build a bit. And one day you go, oh my God, I'm successful. I succeeded. The only way to have the I'm succeeding is by the many, 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 many validated improvements. But what do most people do? They have many, 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 many things that they find wrong. And that's what most people are professionals at. You look in the mirror and you find things wrong. You look at
Right.
your day and you find things wrong. You look at a conversation you had and you say, I did things wrong. Very good at finding what's wrong. And how do I know? Because I work with people and even my team, and I say, let's share what was the improvement. And sometimes it's tough. Some people say, I can't think of one. Can't think of what was good today. What was an improvement today? Very tough. But if I say what was bad, no problem. So if you want success, you need to become a radar for your improvements, little improvements, and don't kill the improvements. Most people kill the improvement. You have a target of making $10,000 and you go and you sell $10, which was an improvement. You took a step and people say, oh, $10. It's as good, like, it's nowhere close to 10,000. It's as basically it's zero. I'm basically at
Yeah.
zero and they kill the improvement. So don't kill your improvements, validate them,
Yeah,
and it'll grow.
love that. This has been so, this, oh, I just have absolutely enjoyed this thoroughly. And as
Likewise.
I am so clear, we're definitely going to have you back for sure. Uh,
Thank you.
your story is such a powerful reminder that transformation doesn't happen all at once. And it begins the moment we become aware and continues, I like to say, with those brave, bold, badassy choices that we make along the way. Gal, thank you so much for your honesty, your heart, and your willingness to share the journey with us today.
My
Thank you.
pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for your great questions and for leading the way.
You supported leading the way. So
Thank you.
thank you to
Thanks so
everybody.
much.
Yeah, oh, thank you. Such a pleasure. Such a pleasure.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone that listened.
Yeah, absolutely. And reminder, all of Gal's information will be in the show notes. Gal Ezra. So please make sure you look him up on his socials. What is your Instagram? Just real quick.
Sure.
Give
Yeah.
yourself
It's Gal, Gala, Ezra, Ezra. So Gal A. Ezra.
Gal Ezra. Sorry, I
Mhm.
pronounced your name wrong again. Sorry.
No, no, there's no wrong pronunciation. It's a tricky one. I've heard it all. It's not, nothing is wrong. Yeah, no wrong pronunciation for my
I,
name. It's okay.
I like to attempt to, get it right.
Yeah, yeah.
Never forget a face.
Uh-huh.
To everyone
Same.
listening, remember this: the bridge from ordinary to extraordinary is built with small steps of change and big leaps of faith. You are more powerful than you know, so keep showing up, keep rising, and keep awakening your potential. So, for everybody listening, if you reach out again to God, the word awakening potential. If you reach out to me, I'm also one of those people that will be, you'll get me directly, right? Bridge, in this
Hmm.
way. You can distinguish between us, and I will be happy to answer as many questions as possible for you as well. Till then, make it a fabulous day and keep awakening. So, bye for now.